else's point of view as well. But there's key areas that I want you to focus on. I think probably we'll start with the just generally dealing with the court, and don't ask me after the call, does this apply to this and does this apply to that? When we speak about the court, we're talking about any kind of a court appearance. So be ready to take notes on that. Then we'll talk about some mortgage strategies and how to get those lenders to their knees to obey their master. But it's kind of an interesting little twist that we've come across here. So as far as announcements, I've mentioned we were going to talk a little bit about some resources. One resource is I always recommend everybody out there learn that whether you're starting or whether you're doing a case. We have people this week starting court cases, and maybe there is a situation where they do have to go in and deal with some of it. And I always recommend using the jurisdictionary course, and that's yourlaw.org/JD is the link to that if you ever want to look into that. There's lots of good education in that. That's just one resource. I'll talk, Chris, toward the end of the call about our business side of things, because a lot of people dealing with these financial struggles are partially in that situation because of their own issues with having sufficient income and so forth to get by. I know you have to raise families. You got to have a house. You got to go from point A to point B and make your living. So, I know what it's like. I mean, I'm a guy with several kids, and got to pay the bills. So it's important to also discuss those kind of economic issues. And we've been talking about the Medicus program the last couple of calls out there. And again, I'll mention that more toward the end because I don't want to hold off our main subject, but we'll talk about that if those who want to stick around and listen to that portion of it. Okay, our guest caller tonight is Charles Renault. He's a former Chicago police officer, and he's been really one of my, he says he's a fan of mine, I'm a fan of his, so I don't know which is which, but I always appreciate it when I have an opportunity to visit with him and talk about what's going on and what's working out there and what we're doing to help people. And the beautiful thing about what I like about what Charles is doing in terms of his approach, and I think those of you who know me, you know my approach, if I can't keep it simple, it's not going to work because I'll get lost in the details. So I think Charles is of the same mindset. So, Charles, are you out there?
Oh, yes, and thank you so much for that nice introduction. I just hope people do understand what we're talking about and not blow it off as hot air. Everything I talk about, everything I write about is absolute documented evidence, and I don't make this stuff up by any means. And it's in their own books. They got it dangling in front of us like a carrot. So we all just have to pay attention to every minute detail, because the language known as legalese is a different language. They use the words we think we know, but they change their meaning by 180 degrees.
Absolutely. I mean, most people get into this movement, they have no idea that I think there's currently 4 or 5 definitions of the United States. You just throw that into the middle of the sentence thinking you know what you're talking about, you're going to get yourself in some deep trouble if you
Exactly. You've got to watch the spelling of it. There are several United States, but the one I'm concerned about is the one that is United States Incorporated, and that's found in their own laws too. It's a federal corporation, so we don't need to get into that. What I'm concerned with a lot of people that I deal with is these foreclosures. And I'm thinking, what is a foreclosure about? How can they foreclose on something they have no interest in whatsoever? Well, nor could they have. And I'll tell you why they couldn't have. Senate document number 43, the 43rd Congress, and it was session 1, where they made reference to this, and this is a law now, mind you, a Senate law that was passed back in 1933. It said the ownership of all property is in the states. Individual this so-called ownership is only by virtue of government, i.e., law amounting to mere user. And use must be in accordance with law and subordinates. You got that, subordinate as a slave to the plantation, to the necessities of the state. And I end the quotation there. This is their thing. They told us that nobody can own anything. That includes banks or anybody else. No companies, no corporations can own any property in this country because the 48 governors of that time pledged all the land of their individual states to the corporation United States. So this is...
It sounds like they might do it. They're doing a liquidation of a bankruptcy or something like that, and everybody's turning in their assets.
Everybody is trying to do that, but it wasn't everybody because none of our ancestors knew what was going on. They always kept us in the dark as they do today. They own the media, which we listen to and have in our living room on a daily basis. So these folks, it's always been there. It's just folks haven't looked at it and read it. Well, I'm sorry to say things must be pretty boring for me because I go through all this stuff and read it. And then I say, holy cow. And the hair on the back of the neck starts to stand up and I get really irritated. And I'm an ex-cop with an attitude, so
well, I think it's an important point to stress, too. What you're saying is, listen, this stuff's out there. It's in the law. It's in black and white, quite literally, even defined in Black's Law. And you can't ignore it. You can't just say, well, it's just not important. Of course it's important. But, of course, it has everything to do with how we resolve many of our issues.
Yes, that no matter what it is, it's all been brainwashing through the media that they control, actually. You see, back, maybe 30 years ago now, there was about 185 owners of all the various media outlets, newspapers, magazines, radio, television stations, all this stuff. 185 of them. Now, that's pretty difficult to get 185 to all agree on anything. It's like with the cops I worked with back home, you couldn't get 100 of them to agree to anything. So, anyhow, these people now have done their little salesmanship. They sold this outfit to that one and that one and that. And we have laws against monopolies, but that don't matter when you have money to do it. So, it's now down to 6 owners of all the media out there. So how hard is it to have 6 owner-operators get together in a coffee shop and decide what's going to happen next? To verify that, I'm in front of my computer several hours a day. And I put up all the news broadcasts across the country, all the way from Washington State to Maine. And from the border up there in Minnesota all the way down to Florida. And all of these various newscasters, male and female, told the story verbatim, exactly word for word. So that told me somebody is writing that stuff for them, or they have to follow orders, otherwise they'll find themselves out of a job. So it's quite interesting. So when you look at the news or listen to it, do it very loosely. Do not take it to heart. Don't expect it to be truthful, because 9 times out of 10 it is not. In fact, rarely do they even get the geography correct. So, it's just one of those things that we just have to start standing up for ourselves and stop relying on somebody else to do things for us. We have to take the bull by the horns and get it out there. I mean, I really feel happy and relieved when I get people out of these foreclosures by using this law that they made.
Yeah, and it's not something, guys, this isn't something that you would normally think of in terms of fighting your foreclosure. Most people are saying, well, I own it, by golly, and you don't, and I'm going to fight you over that. Well, the simple fact is you don't. You want proof of that? Look at your deed of trust. You're a tenant.
Exactly.
You approach it from that point of view. and you can actually then see they know you're going to miss the ball. They know that you're going to run around and you're going to miss. You're going to go chasing down the note or something like that. And really, that's not the issue at all. And so I love what you've got here in terms of an approach to this.
The whole thing is when you use their own words against them, that makes you a hero. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that we have to do. We've got to actually, and I hate to say it, but take the time. I've been doing this research since '98, and actually I've known all along. I knew there was something wrong, even when I was on the job, and I never, bothered with it because I had other things to do. I had TV to watch, or I had, I was a musician, so I was out there playing music. I was doing other things. So, all of these things, we just have to stop. Take the time. It don't take that long, really. If we take 15 or 20 minutes a day just to pursue certain aspects of this stuff, we will learn so much that will make the hair on the back your head stand up, and you'll be downright mad.
And this stuff is not hard to learn. Sometimes what's hard to get over is the disinformation and not go down the wrong rabbit hole. Unlike Neo in the Matrix, they said follow the white rabbit, and you look where it led him. And here, but he led him to the truth ultimately because he followed the white rabbit. So we're hoping that's kind of how you'll see some of the information we're talking about here. Can we talk? Maybe we should go through a couple of different things. We had kind of a court scenario we were talking about today, and we were talking about a foreclosure scenario. Maybe the foreclosure one's actually a simpler one to talk about because it's really both simple if you keep them simple. I've heard people talk about these subjects and make them way too complicated. In fact, when you're done hearing what we're going to tell you tonight, you're going to be saying to yourself, well, there's got to be more to it than that. And I assure you, we're going to tell you exactly what to do. So just take good notes. So how do you want to start? Do you want to talk about this, for example, essentially you gave me a statement that's what really your claim is all about in a foreclosure. You want to go through that?
Well, yeah, actually, this relying on that Senate document, what we can do at that point, from that point, because we now have their attention when we refer to their own words. You go through it, and now you make what is known as a mechanic's lien. I call it a possessory lien, and you do that with your county recorder, or you can do it with a Secretary of State, whichever you prefer. But you charge them. You say you will be glad to give up the home. We're talking about a foreclosure now. You will be more than happy to give up the home and the property because you know very well that you are nothing more than a tenant there that has borrowed that property. But to make it habitable, you had to invest in all the things that make it habitable, because you can't really go into a bedroom at night with no drapes on the windows and no way to cover yourself. You have to have electricity. You have, well, at least those of us of the modern day. But you have to have all of the goodies that we have around us: carpeting on the floor, furniture, etc., etc. All of these things make that home we live in habitable. If we didn't have them, it'd be pretty rough. I mean, you'll have derelicts looking to get in there and stay for a while. So what you have got to do is itemize all of the things that you have put in that home or that dwelling since day one. In order to make it, you had to spend a lot. You had to hire people, probably, fixing the roof, for example, or doing landscaping, or whatever it is. Everything is to be itemized. Then you make a bill for them, and remaining. So you will gladly release the property that you are living in right now if they pay the debt that you paid out of pocket, labor, time, all the other things involved in it. So you are giving them a notice that they have to pay, and they have to pay within 10 days. And that is reasonable, and and you're not arguing with them at all. You say, yes, indeed, I certainly will be glad to give you back this property, the house, and everything that I have put into it, okay? But you must pay this bill first. If you pay it, I release your car to you, just like the mechanic.
Yeah, I think probably people could equate this to if they've heard of something called a conditional acceptance. They're coming in and saying they've got a right to take your property, and you've got to do something. To say nothing, of course, that's just silence is your acquiescence. So you're essentially saying, yeah, we're glad to give you back the property, but there's just an issue here we got to resolve, and here's this notice to pay. 10 days, here's my list of labor and expenses and payments and cash outlay for maintaining this property, and I'll be glad to turn the property over to you. And as soon as you can prove you're the rightful owner and that I, in fact, have been reimbursed for these expenses, creating a bill, and then subsequently a lien. It's just that very simple.
Exactly, and that lien is really important. A mechanic's lien must be paid. There's no getting out of it, and that's what this essentially is. But you see, the bank that is in there in the first place, the trick bag is when you have them prove that they own or have any interest in that property whatsoever, because they don't. You see, when we go to a bank for a loan, or a bank, really, they're using the word loan, and that's fraudulent because they cannot, by their own rules, lend any of their own assets or those of their customers. So where does this financial joke come from? It's your signature, my friends. It is actually you. That's why there's such an emphasis on birth certificates about the baby's weight. You are worth your weight in gold, whatever that happened to be. I was a rich little son of a gun because I weighed in at 10 pounds, 12 ounces at birth. It was 23 inches tall, so I was almost walking at the time I came out of the old cell down there. So
that explains a lot. My ex-wife used to call me worthless, and I weighed 200 pounds. I never quite was able to do that math, but anyway, never mind.
Yeah, but that's actually where the cause came from. So when you come down to you're worth your weight in gold, that's absolutely correct, and that's on the files. So the birth certificate is like a title to your car. If you lose one, you can get another one, right? So somebody's holding on to the copies of the original one. The original one is actually in their offices in Puerto Rico. So that's a whole different subject. We can get on that one. DJ and talk about that for quite a while.
I'll have to reserve that one for a future long call.
Yeah, you mentioned it. You betcha. So,
I hope you guys got that. Maybe that's the simplest foreclosure remedy they've ever heard, huh?
Well, yeah. Well, this is actually, this is Simplicity Plus, and it's absolute. I mean, there's no getting around it. If it's their laws, which are sanitary law, or sanitary or cemetery. I don't know which one would be popular there.
They definitely don't go together.
No, they certainly do not. By any means, most of those people are liars. I'm sorry, I mispronounce that all the time. Lawyer. Lawyer and liar is one and the same. I think they're synonymous. But and if we look at the politicians we have, 90% or 90+% are lawyers, are liars, whichever.
Uh-huh. Well, by nature, they're not even supposed to be in those offices, so they're already starting off as liars.
Exactly. And nobody's calling about it. No one has called about it. It's like all the documents we carry in our pockets, like the Social Security card, driver's license, marriage license, all those things, everything financial. Your name appears in all capital letters. Yes, in the 3rd grade grammar school, we were all taught that all sentences and proper nouns begin with capital letters followed by lowercase. So why have we accepted this other nonsense? Have we believed that they put our name in lights or something? No, there is a reason for that capitalization. So when you get mail, if you open up something addressed to what you assume to be your name that's in all capital letters, you are committing mail fraud because you're opening mail that does not belong to you. Send it back.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way to handle that.
Yep.
My goodness, we're going to call all kinds of things here.
We're giving away all the good stuff because it's so easy. I hope they're taking notes. Again, they're not going to believe it, but frankly, a lot of the remedies just are that easy. Some people think you need to have a 40-page affidavit recorded in Puerto Rico and in the Republic and somewhere in Mexico, and and flown around and run around in circles with it a few times and throw it up in the air, and then it's a status document. My theory is that let's just remember one thing:
trying to make some
we
money.
People already have our status.
Well, I can invite you to
Exactly.
where we can make 40 inside my own warehouse. I'm not a warehouse.
Being in business,
Yeah, my warehouse.
having employees,
Where you hold your code.
that I would be taking
Code
orders
day
from
for
my
you.
employees. I might look at suggestions.
A code day for you. You don't see it on there?
But that would be my prerogative. My employees are still my employees. However, they are not our employees because they now are members of a corporation.
Who are you?
And we can't dictate how a man operates his business.
Who are you?
You see, so these people that we the only way we can take orders from them is if we are a part of that. And what makes you a part of that is all of these meaningless contracts, such as a driver's license. Your right to travel was here long before government was ever even thought of. So, a driver's license, why should I pay a politician to drive my motor vehicle down the public way?
It doesn't even make sense when you actually look at it like that, does it? I mean, it's kind of silly what we run around and ask permission to do. There's an inherent right to. You don't have to ask permission to do something that you already have a natural right to do. Oh, go from point A to point B, then get out of my way, and I'm not harming anybody. But somebody walked up with a statute, and you believe him, and you start shaking your boots. And guess what? Now, their presumption, not true, but it's a presumption, it becomes true enough that you just cave in and give it all away. You have to give it all away.
When you give in, you contract. You see, everything to me is contractual. So if you say, yes, sir, you can just agree. Then you smile and say yes, because when you take on a contract under threat, it is void and null. There is no
pretty much, smooth talking, but pretty much does exactly what he's told. I always tell people, I said the first day in the presidency looks something like this. The president walks in the Oval Office, he sits in that big chair, and Kennedy's desk is sitting there, and then he's thinking, all right, what am I going to do next? And all of a sudden, somebody from behind spins his chair around and says, let me explain to you how this works.
Yep, that's exactly how it works, and it's one of the bankster's own hitmen, let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So I always find it very interesting how back in the day of Kennedy, he had just signed the executive order to essentially end the Federal Reserve, and shortly thereafter he was shot. And I can just see the scene on the airplane when Johnson was about to take the oath. They were handing him a pen.
Why
like,
do that?
Where do I sign? Where do I sign? He said, what are you going to sign? He says, I want to sign that executive order right now to release that other executive order, because that's who he was under orders to. And by the way, you got to swear in first. Oh, okay. Well, I can wait long enough to do that. Then they gave him the pen. I mean,
I'm gonna make you do what I want you to do.
Kennedy's
I'm gonna make you do what I want you to do.
As he had to sign that executive order to relinquish or to repeal
do exactly what I want you to do.
executive order that would have set this whole thing free. So,
welcome to the show, the truth is the truth. Period. Fuck all the bullshit. You bullshit. You the bullshit that I talk about on my show. And I get to talk about you right now.
That's how all this game is played. It's all financial.
Shit, you the bullshit that I talk about on the show. The stupid little assholes that do what the games they do. Yeah, go. You don't have to keep killing yourself, son. Shit. Have your fun, because I'm showing you how fucking stupid you are. Doing exactly what the game telling your stupid ass to do. So, kill me as many times as you feel like you can and you want to, because you're stupid. Come on, stupid. Here I go, a free lunch for you, stupid. You on my show. I make you do what I want you to do. Kill me, stupid. Here, stupid, 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 stupid. Here, stupid, stupid, stupid. Why you kidding me? Somebody else doing what they supposed to be doing. They getting their missions done. So you ain't fucking with what they doing. Come here, stupid, 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 stupid. You can't do no reverse psychology on me. I ain't gonna do the stupid shit that you do because you stupid. Come on, stupid. Where you at, stupid? Stupid, 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 stupid. Oh, you over here. There you go. I see you now, stupid. I'm walking towards you, stupid. Come on, stupid. Get you some KD. Get your KD up. Get your KD up. Get you a free lunch. Get your KD up, stupid. Where you at? There you go. I see you now. Oh, that ain't you. Somebody else. Come get you some free lunch. Come do what the game say do, puppet. Come here, puppet. Come here, grown puppet, playing like a little kid. See, that's what kids do. Kids do stupid shit like that, though. Come here, stupid. I'm just chilling out here waiting for stupid to come. Where's stupid at? Stupid dumb. Oh, I think a stupid thing that he having fun. Let me see, stupid driving my car. Yeah, stupid, stupid, blah, 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 blah. Not no more. Look out that car, stupid. Bring that car to me. Should have blown it up. Back to what I was doing before I was interrupted by a stupid asshole. They probably think that ass is the new pussy. Because that's how stupid he is.
Obviously, we did.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. That's what happens when you borrow money from your enemy. Eventually they become your master again. That's what they did.
But you see, that's another joke, too. You see that mayor, Rothschild, they call him? His name was actually Bauer. It was not Rothschild. Rothschild means red shield in German. And in front of his coin shop that he had in Germany was a red shield sign. It had one of those black, like a phoenix bird on it, with 5 arrows in its claws. And the 5 arrows, now, Power assumed to be, or just took on, his 5 sons, who he had trained from birth in his schemes and scams that he had done all of his life. And he placed them in appropriate positions. Our Civil War was financed by 2 of the Rothschild brothers. One was in France and the other one was in England. So who was the winner of that Civil War we had? We lost a lot of our sons here, North and South. There was no need for it because the financiers were brothers claiming in the different countries that they represented it, but they were the only winners in it because they were financing all the weapons, all the, everything that would destroy anything. So
they are the winners in every war. Have been for the last 200 years.
You got it, that's just the way it is. So the rest of us have got to really, please, wake up. I mean, enough is enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't like to get into elections too much, but I hear the rhetoric in this election right now, what's going on, and, when one side constantly says, oh, the Russians are doing it, that's always the diversion away from the truth of what's actually going on. And they always steer it away. And that's how wars get started, because it becomes a distraction. And frankly, it's good for the bankers. They don't want us, electing a candidate who might actually give us some freedom, and or go against their agenda. And that's what we're seeing play out right before us right now in this election.
That's why they're so afraid. They're so afraid of Donald Trump because they're trying to belittle him in every opportunity that they have, and it's not going to do any good. Donald speaks from the heart. He's not paid to say anything. Nobody has contributed to his election.
The Republican establishment has turned their backs on him, which is like, great, great, get those guys down there too.
Exactly, and because he is a businessman, and a very shrewd businessman, even though he's had bankruptcy several times. I have personally had a bankruptcy at one time, but it was my own stupidity that got me into it.
Well, if you have 150 businesses and 3 of them have to do a bankruptcy at some point, your percentages are pretty good, actually.
I would think so. Yeah, I was kind of behind old figures down there. That Texan fella, Perot, because he was But that was good. Yeah, but you see, he was scared out of it. That's what got Perot out of the running thing. He was threatened. So, but beyond that, no, I have to stand behind Donald, even though I will not vote. And I'll tell you why. Because that voter's registration is a contract. And I will not contract with the state of Arizona or the United States or anybody else, because that's what it is. And then when you do it, you don't realize you have volunteered to be a juror on something that's going to disrupt your life if you're called into jury duty. So that's stupid too, but it's a hidden contract.
Well, you have to declare that. Well, it's also a declaration that you are a U.S. citizen. If you read the definition they're referring to, they're talking about a citizen of the District of Columbia or one of the territories. That puts you subject to that whole special class of citizens that you don't want to be a part of. And when select the service is the same thing. I was just looking at the application today again, just sort of reviewing it, and it's over the front. It says, "Do what a good American does. Wave the flags. All men and women at age 18 must enroll and do go to prison." Then it breaks down. Okay, now who has to register? Now right there it says, U.S. citizens, those living on the territories. Those are not the people living on the state of the Union land. That's
no, they are not.
Separate class of people.
That's why they invented the zip code. Because when you use that zip code in your mailing address, you are on their territory by your own admission.
Yep. That's the overlaid territory. So you got to disclaim that every time you have to use it. You better disclaim it properly.
Well, yes, all you do is put brackets around whatever the zipper happens to be, and that kind of eliminates it. If you know English at all, you'll know that brackets take whatever it is that's bracketed out of the information on the or the text on the sheet.
What's very interesting, the actual application for the Selective Service, the signatures in a box. I said, well,
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, I was watching a movie this week called The Free State of Jones. It just came out on DVD. You get them at those red boxes. Free State of Jones, and really an excellent movie, because there's a movie that talks about how all this kind of came together and how it played out in the South during the slavery days, and they created a free state, and these were the freemen that you've heard about. These were guys. They actually made a movie about them. It's very interesting. And,
all the freemen was wonderful.
Undocumented people, and it's just really a great movie if you ever want to see something that'll tell you a bunch about what's going on. Like, for example, a lot of people don't know that the people who freed the blacks, the people who voted to free the black people, were all Republicans. The Democrats ran around saying they're the people helping the black people, but the reality is the actual Democrats started the KKK, and to this day are still part of it. The very people saying we're helping you are the ones that are stabbing you in the back. And Johnson joked about it. He says, by the time I get done with the black people, they're going to be voting for us for the next 200 years because they're not going to know the difference.
Well, all right.
And
exactly.
I don't rush and do nothing. I take my time.
Well, they are relying on stupidity or ignorance. That is what they have relied on from day one. And I have to admit, our ancestors were pretty ignorant when they went along with all the crap that was pushed out in front of them, and thinking that they
I'll be back.
were doing it out of the kindness of their heart. Okay, no, they were compelled. It's like jury duty. If you don't show up, they're going to lock you up. Think about that. So, you know, Nazi Germany, I thought, was a thing of the past, but it's not. It's alive and well right here in this country, right today. So we have to...
That brings up, by the way, another reference for that thing I just told you is Hillary's, what's it called, the Hillary movie? It's just out, the next decision did it.
You would watch something? You would watch something pretending to that part?
But the point is it actually talks about the history that most people don't know, and it's very interesting. But anyway,
from my hometown, so
you know all about it. You know about the mob. I mean, they're just an organized crime wreck at the whole government up there in Chicago.
Personally, I would rather deal with the mob than the so-called government, or actually this corporation. I would, because you know where you stand. Yeah, you know where you stand. You know what I mean? It's not one of those things you never know, because everything is hidden. Everything is a lie. So we have to learn how to handle these liars and put them in their place.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. By the way, that movie is Hillary's America. I forgot the title of it, but it's also on DVD. Everyone should see that before you like, wherever you stand. Now let's talk about. You just said Hitler's world is alive and well in America, and I contend that the gateway to that, much of it is right in going into the court. And I think we can demonstrate to all of you just exactly how that's done to you. And we're going to also share with you one of the simplest. And I mean, I did an article yesterday on this, and then today I got comments about that, and I heard back also from Charles here about that, and he talked about his approach to that. And it's interesting how it's all kind of coming down to the same approach. That I think you have a really simple way to put it. Now, if you're being brought into court, let's say you've been arrested at your door, or you're being arrested on the side of the road, maybe they've indicted you for something big time, then in reality it's just a big commercial transaction. It's all the same thing. And there's going to come the moment where you've got to almost step into the court, and then what would you tell them to do, Charles?
Well, the thing is, first, when you go to the court because you have been summoned there or brought there physically, whatever the case is, you are forced into their jurisdiction, shall we say. And it's not jurisdiction unless you give them jurisdiction. You are the sovereign, like it or not, and believe it or not, There's so many people out there against sovereigns and sovereignty today because they have no clue as to what it means. God Almighty is the only sovereign, period, okay? And we as children of God have the same capabilities as God Almighty. I'm not saying I'm a God or you're a God, but we have the same qualities and capabilities. Therefore,
His likeness and image. That's what we're told that. That's what that means.
Exactly. So anything we then create is subservient to us, just as we should be to God Almighty. Okay?
So, we were supposed to take dominion. That means we're the agents, so to speak.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And I'm glad you brought that agent up. That kind of triggers that other thing we were talking about signature today. But anyhow, when you go in, you have actually volunteered because you walk into this courtroom. Now, as long as you stay behind that rail, every one of them's got a rail with a gate on it, and nobody has bothered to even ask why, because you're walking aboard their ship. And if you look at the flags flying behind the judge, they have on one side is what represents the state flag, and the other side the U.S. flag. However, neither are that at all. They have gold fringe around them, which makes them both admiralty flags, which changes that courtroom into some kind of maritime operation. All right? And when you're on a ship, the captain is the guy with the last word. But that guy sitting up 4 feet above everybody else in that courtroom, he thinks he's God or she's God, whatever it might be. They're lawyers in drag who are wearing a black costume to make it appear that they're about something. When you establish that you are here as a third party for the party they have written down on their documentation, which happens to be all capital lettered, a name that you assume to be yours. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't be there because if they summoned you with under that all capital written name, you have no reason to be there in the first place because that is not your name. Not according to the English language, anyhow. So, anyhow, just by being there, your mere presence puts you in their, they call it jurisdiction, but I have other words for it, but I can't use it here.
Got that weed, is he?
So,
Come got that joint. She looking for that joint, wasn't she? What'd she say?
It's like, you know exactly what she was going to say. She said,
and what I do, I just stop them in their tracks and I tell them my name is
right there
my
where I
property,
picked it up
which it
from.
is because I
I said, hey,
copyrighted the
you didn't even know where it was.
And I also
I
copyrighted
didn't,
my
but I know when I
autograph.
came in here, it was right there and I saw it.
I tell them my name is my property
That's
and
the
I
way
do
to make
not
sure that
give
you
my
got it.
property away freely to anyone or anything.
But she just brought that to me, son.
Negotiate, I would be happy to do
You hear me?
so.
She just brought that to
And
me.
then they kind of sit back and they look at me strange. Sometimes they'll even leave the courtroom.
No, I'm saying she just brought that that you just took this.